Welcome back to Stories for Kids. So, from today, we are going to start a new series that is Panchatantra stories. Panchatantra stories were initially written by Pandit Vishnu Sharma in the 3rd century BC. So, these are very interesting stories, and from these stories, we can learn so many things. So, these stories are not only liked by kids, but the adults can also listen to these stories and learn from it. So, without wasting much time, let's start our first story, The King Elephant and the Wise Hare. A long time ago, the great king of elephant ruled over the forest. Once, during his rule, all the lakes dried up as there was no rainfall. So, all the elephants came to the king for help. The elephant king said, "Please don't worry, I am your king, and so it is my duty to take care of all your needs. You will never have to live without water again. I know of a hidden lake that is always full of water. Let's go there." While the elephants marched to the lake, they trampled thousands of hares that had been living there for years. Hundreds of them died and many hares were injured. The hares were very angry and worried. One of them said, "Elephants are so huge and heavy. We are little tiny ants to them. They will continue to trample us every day on their way to the lake. If we don't do something quickly, we will all be killed. We have to find a way to stop them from coming to the lake. The problem is they are very thirsty and they will never listen to our request." A smart hare came up with a clever plan, and that night he went to the elephant king. He had to be very careful, for if the king became angry, they could all be killed. So the hare bowed down to the elephant king with great respect and said, "The moon god has sent me, your majesty. This lake belongs to him, and he has forbidden all of you from drinking water from it." "But where is your lord, the moon?" asked the surprised king. The hare took the elephant king to the lake and pointed at the reflection of the moon in the lake and said, "Here it is, the moon god. Can you see him?" The elephant king looked down in the lake and replied humbly, "Yes, I can." "Move quickly and salute him. Otherwise, he may get very angry and great harm could come upon you and your subjects," said the clever hare. Believing the hare, the elephant king saluted the reflection and left quickly. The elephant never came back to the lake again, and the hares lived happily in their home. The next story is The King Cobra and the Ants. Long ago, a huge king cobra lived in a dense forest. He hunted at night and slept during the day. As time passed, he grew so fat that it became difficult for him to squeeze in and out of his hole in the tree. So he went in search of another tree. Finally, the cobra selected a very big tree as his new home. But there was a large anthill at the foot of the tree. He slithered up to the anthill, spread his food, and said very rudely to the ants, "I am the king of the forest. I don't want any of you around. I order all of you to find some other place to live. Otherwise, be prepared for your end." The ants were united and they were not scared of the cobra. Instead, thousands of ants marched out of the anthill and soon covered the cobra's whole body with a string and bites. The evil snake slithered away, crying in pain. The next story is Story of a Blue Jackal. Once a jackal entered the house of a washerman and hid in the vat full of blue color used for bleaching clothes. When he came out, he was dyed blue. When the jackal came back to the jungle, all the animals were frightened to see such a strange animal. The jackal said, "There is no need to be afraid. I am a special creation of God. He has sent me as your king. All the animals in the jungle were fooled and accepted him as their king. One day, when the blue jackal was holding court, he heard a pack of jackals howling. Thrilled by the sound of his own family, he too began howling loudly like them. The animals understood that their king was a jackal, so they beat him and drove him out of the jungle. The next is the wolf and the crane. One day, a wolf found some bull's meat in the jungle. He started eating the meat greedily. A piece of bone got stuck in his throat. It became difficult for him to breathe and he started to choke. Suddenly, the wolf remembered that a crane lived nearby. The wolf went to the crane and begged for help and promised a reward in return. The crane took pity on the wolf and agreed for help. The wolf opened his jaws wide and the crane easily took out the bone. The crane then reminded the wolf of the promised reward. What reward? The wolf remarked. When your beak was in my mouth, I could have bitten you. Just be grateful that I let you live. Before the crane could react, the selfish wolf ran away. The next story is the merchant and the donkey. The merchant used to visit nearby town to sell bags of salt, which he would load on his donkey. One day, on the way to the town, the donkey slipped into the pond. The merchant pulled him out. The donkey was suddenly happy. Its load turned very light since almost all the salt has dissolved into the water. Now the donkey deliberately slipped the pond every day. With time, the master understood that the donkey's plan. So he decided to teach the donkey a lesson. The next day, the merchant loaded his donkey with the cotton bales instead of salt. When the donkey fell into the pond, the cotton bales got wet and became very heavy. The donkey could not even get up now because of the weight. Now you will never try to trick me, the merchant laughed. The next is the horse and the donkey. A washerman has a horse and a donkey. One day, the washerman loaded the donkey with many heavy bundles of clothes. The horse carried nothing. Burdened, the donkey requested the horse, "Brother, the load is killing me. Please share some of it." The horse neighed. "Why should I? We horses are meant for riding." The donkey kept on walking with heavy load. Exhausted, the donkey fell down. It was then the washerman realized his mistake. He gave water to the donkey and transferred the entire load of the clothes onto the horse's back. The horse thought, "I should have listened to the donkey and accepted half of the load. Now I will have to carry the entire load to market." The next story is the dog in a manger. There was a dog who lived in a barn. He would always sleep on the soft hay, lying in the manger that the horses ate. The dog's food used to be kept outside the barn in the farmyard. Even then, the selfish dog would stay right there in the manger. Whenever the horses came to eat their hay, the dog would start barking at them. The horses could not eat their food. They told the dog that the farmer had left bones for him outside, but the dog refused to move out of the manger. "What a selfish dog," the horses said. "He knows that he cannot eat hay, but he will not let us eat our food. He is ready to sacrifice his food just so that he can trouble us." So now the next story will be the last story for this episode, which is the Ungrateful Lion. A lion was once caught in a cage. He did his best to escape, but nothing helped. Then he saw a man passing by and asked him to help, promising that he would not eat him. Trusting the lion, the man opened the cage. The lion came out of the cage but forgot all about his promise. He now wanted to eat the man. The man was worried and thought of a way to save his life. he suggested that they present their case to a judge. The jackal passing by was asked to be the judge. The jackal was quite clever. He asked them to show him what had actually happened. To show the jackal what had happened, the lion entered the cage again. The man quickly shut the door and locked it. The man and the jackal ran away, teaching the ungrateful lion a lesson. So with this, I am ending this episode, but now there will be few more episodes from Panchatantra series. Stay tuned. Subscribe the channel if you have not subscribed. If you are listening this from the podcast, share it with your friends and family, like it, and keep watching and listening the stories. Thank you.